welcome to my channel and welcome to another recap of And Just Like That, episode 10. We're almost there. Next week it will be the finale, the last episode, and we know what's going to happen. Samantha is going to call. So let's start this recap. The episode, it's called The Last Supper, Part 1. Let's start with Shay. So Shay lands a stand-up gig in the small comedy club, and Carrie and Aiden are there. They're waiting in the line outside, and Miranda shows up. As soon as Miranda said that she was going to surprise Shay, I was like, oh no, Miranda is about to get roasted. And she does. Pretty bad. I don't blame Miranda for walking away, but I would have liked to see the end of Shay's set, because the stuff about Miranda wasn't even funny. It's a very common thing for a comedian to roast their significant other when they're doing their, stand-up specials. If you look at Jim Gaffigan, is that the last name? Gaffigan? Ellie Wong. Ellie Wong had a whole bit about her now ex-husband, but back then she was married to him. It was really funny. Even Kevin Hart, he does a whole thing about, was it his wife too? But most comedians, they use their real life and turn into comedy. But all the comedians that I mentioned that took digs at their partner, at the end, they always say how thankful they are for them, how great they are, how much they love them, blah, blah, blah. So I wonder if Shay would have gotten to that point, say good things about Miranda, but Miranda runs off and Shay doesn't even finish the set. They, leave the stage and try to talk to Miranda in the street. Shay told Miranda, this is what I do. I turn bad things that happen to me into comedy. And I was like, oh, that's even worse. And Miranda was just like, oh, I'm sorry. I was such a bad thing that happened to you. You know who I felt really bad about, this whole situation at the comedy club? Aiden. Poor Aiden, he's sitting there, and then the faces that he's making because it was so uncomfortable. He's like, we're supposed to be on this, date night and go to a comedy club and laugh, and now it's just like all this drama going on. Let's go to Naya. Oh, Naya. She receives this invite in, an email about Andre's baby shower. I don't know who invited her. Could have been Andre, or could have been the new, the baby's mama, future baby mama. Whoever invited Naya has some balls. And not only they had the balls to invite Naya, whoever it was, they sent her the registry link expecting a gift. So it was either out of pettiness or greediness for wanting a gift. And Naya, she sends them this fancy stroller that cost almost $1,000, because Naya was like, I want them to walk the baby in the stroller and think of me every time. This is what the baby mama is going to do. She's going to sell that stroller, keep the $1,000, and then buy another stroller. So the joke is on you, Naya. And then we have Seema, my girl Seema. Oh my gosh, I'm so annoyed by her storyline. She's having sex with Ravi, right? The movie director. They're having sex, and then she drops the L word. She says, I love you. I was like, oh, boys and girls out there, don't ever say I love you when someone is inside of you or you inside someone. Saying I love you while you're having sex does not mean anything, especially with someone that you barely just met. But if you do say I love you, if you have been in a relationship for a long time and it's, there's that big commitment, at least look them in the eye, make that connection. You know what's the perfect time to say I love you? I've seen this in a TV show or a movie. I can't remember where it was, but there's a couple and they're like in casual clothing or PJs. They're making the bed. And then he stops making the bed, looks at her and says, I love you. And I was like, oh, that is like such like the perfect moment to say I love you, when it's just like poof out of nowhere. Or when Rory from Gilmore Girls, when Dean is walking away And then Rory says, Dean, stop. He's like, for what? And she's like, because I love you, you idiot. Seema, I thought she was smarter than that. She deserves better, and she deserves a less rushed storyline. Lisa left us with a big cliffhanger at the end of the last episode where she tells Herbert that she's pregnant. And this episode, she tells Charlotte. And you can tell how upset Lisa is about this baby because she's like, she even says, damn it. She's like, damn it, I thought this was my time because, you know, PBS wants her to do this 10-part docu-series. And she's like, how am I going to manage that? I already have 3 kids now with a newborn. So she's tossing and turning at night in bed. And then Herbert asks her what's wrong. And then she tells him, I asked you 8 years ago after they had their little girl, I can't remember her name. I asked you to have a vasectomy. Why didn't you get a vasectomy? And he said, well, you were kind of postpartum. I didn't think you really mean it. And she's like, I meant it. So for 8 years to pass and those 2 people not to have that conversation again, because having a vasectomy, it's really like it's an important subject to have in a relationship. So for her to like let it go for 8 years, he then mentions that there is an option. He said that, you know, you could do something about it. They never dropped the abortion word, but we all know what he meant. She's saying like she appreciates him being supportive and giving her that option. And she also says that I am lucky that I have that option. That was totally like kind of like a political nod. You know, the show, we all know it's very progressive, very liberal. And Lisa says, I'll figure out like I always do. The way she said it, I'll figure out like I always do. It sounded like she still doesn't want that baby. If you're asking yourself, why not have the kid? Her whole thing is that she says, I barely have time to take care of the other 3 kids. You, Herbert, it's running for political office. When are we gonna have time for a newborn? I think they should have explored more the vasectomy talk between them because I feel like there's still a big stigma amongst men about getting a vasectomy. There's a lot of men that feel like if they can't procreate, they're not like manly enough. Because there's a lot of men that says, well, I don't want to get a vasectomy. Why don't you? And look at the woman have hysterectomy. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. A lot of men don't know that having a vasectomy, it's a lot safer than a woman having our procedure. Also, vasectomies are reversible. They're expensive, but they're reversible. And at the end of the episode, we see that she has a miscarriage. And I don't care how old you are, you know, she might be in her 50s or whatever. When a woman has a miscarriage, it takes a toll on you mentally, physically. So it was really sad, but I'm interested to see in the next episode how Lisa is going to deal with it. Charlotte is back at work and she's thriving. She sold a painting or a piece of art to Sam Smith, no other, makes a little cameo for $100,000. And her coworkers are like, we gotta go out, we have to go celebrate, let's go for some drinks. And she's like, no, I gotta get home, we gotta make dinner, the kids, homework. And they're like, no, it's a big achievement that, you know, you sold that painting. So Charlotte goes out, does shots, have margaritas, she gets home all drunk. And before that, when she's selling the painting to Sam Smith, she gets a call from Rock saying, I forgot my notebook at home, can you bring it? And then Charlotte calls Harry and tells him, hey, you said that you were going to step up as a father while I go back to work. So it's your turn to deal with this. Go get her notebook. And I was like, how about this? How about neither of you go get this stupid textbook and let Rock deal with it? Like, remember Lily and the condoms made Charlotte go in a blizzard to bring her condoms? They need to teach these kids like responsibilities, accountabilities, life lessons. A textbook? No, like Rock will survive. And when Charlotte is on the phone with Harry, Harry's like, well, I have a meeting going on. I have stuff to do. I was like, no, 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 no. Don't act like your job it's more important than her job. Because they were all happy and supportive for Charlotte when she said she was going back to work until they needed her. One of the storylines that I actually liked was that Anthony comes over to Carrie's apartment because Carrie received a letter from Stanford. In real life, Willie Garson, he passed away, sadly. Carrie says that Stanford, it's staying in Japan. He got into a fight with his TikToker, he was managing her, and then she moved to Berlin. But he was so sad, he was crying all the time, and then he went to a monastery, maybe, and anyway, became a monk. And he finally found some peace and told Anthony can have all his belongings, the apartment, everything that's in it, because Stanford doesn't want anything else that doesn't serve him, all the material stuff. I thought it was such a nice touch to end his story like that, and especially when Stanford sent a picture of him in front of the monastery, and Anthony says, "Oh, can I have the picture?" And Carrie said, no, the picture, I'll keep it because I'm attached to it. And if you don't know, SJP in real life and Willie were best friends. They actually dated. I thought Willie Garson was gay in real life. I think she was the only one that knew that he was really sick before he passed away. She has that connection, and when she grabbed the picture and she said, this one I'm keeping it, I'm attached to it, I was like, oh. Last but not least, we have Carrie and Aiden. They take a little trip to Coney Island, where apparently Carrie has never been, but they go to see Steve, who is actually doing well and thriving in this new business adventure. He bought a little restaurant, like beachfront, and he says he wants to turn into hot dogs and clams. And I love Aiden and Carrie's talks, like all of them, the conversations that they've been having. This one, they're laying in bed, and she's saying that she has that Last Supper at her apartment, and he still says like he's not setting a foot there. And he explained more in details why not. And yes, it is because it brings back a lot of hurt, but also anger. And he doesn't want to be angry at her. It was such a grown-up conversation, and Aiden owned up to a lot of things that he did in the past. Like he tried to tie her into a marriage license, and that didn't work. And then he tried to tie her into getting an apartment lease, and none of that worked. And then Aiden gets a call from Kathy, his ex-wife, saying that Wyatt, his youngest son, got into a really bad car accident. But all she says is that he broke his collarbone. But then when Aiden goes back home, finds out that it was, worse than Kathy had said, that it was collarbone, broke his leg into 2 places, drove drunk, and then find out that Wyatt left his mom's house and said, I just want to go and sleep at my dad's house. And Aiden felt all that guilt, and he broke down. He's crying on the phone to Carrie, like bawling. And then Carrie said at the end, and just like that, I was worried. Worried about what? Are you worried that now Aiden won't move to New York? Or are you worried that Wyatt maybe will move in with you two? And I don't know, is she going to be stuck with that big apartment, like 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom apartment that I said it was too big for her, but she was thinking about the kids. But in this episode, she even referred to herself as a city mouse and Aiden as a farm lurch. Do you think it's odd that Carrie's calling her new place our place? Hers and Aiden's? I'm like, it's Aiden paying for some of the mortgage? Is he helping you with the finances of the new place? I know it's cute and romantic, all of that. It's like, oh, it's our place. But I was like, no, it's not really Aiden's place. I knew it. I called it that she was gonna give the place, her old place, to Lisette. Did you notice when Seema said, you getting the best deal in New York for this place, girl, to like Lisette? Did Carrie sell the place to Lisette, or she's renting it out? I hope she's just renting it out. These were my thoughts on episode 10 of And Just Like That. Next week is the last episode. And if you watch the promo for next week's episode, you see that Samantha is going to call. And what do you think that call will be about? Let me know in the comments down below. And what do you think is the future for Carrie and Aiden now? If you like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and also hit the little bell notification button so you don't miss any future videos. And I'll see you next time.